Welcome to the Dairy News and Views podcast, a production of the Iowa State University Extension and Outreach Dairy Team. Our podcast covers current educational, research, and industry tools available for your operation to manage healthy cows and calves while producing the highest quality dairy products.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of Spanish Fridays with the Dairy News and Views podcast from the ISU Extension Dairy Team. We're excited to be coming back to you on this snowy December. I'm your host, Gail Carpenter. I'm the State Dairy Specialist with Iowa State University. I'm joined for this series by Miguel Rangel. He's the owner of Optimum Dairy Consulting. And in our Spanish Fridays episode, we basically talk all things dairy and Spanish. And I'm practicing Spanish, and Miguel is very patiently working with me. So
Hello,
welcome back to the
everybody.
podcast. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Gabe.
Yes. Miguel, we have been talking a lot about things that we are passionate about. Calves is one of them. But we don't want to just talk about the things that we're excited about. We should probably also talk about things that other people are excited about. Yes.
You're right. I know.
And one of those things, this is just reproduction. Reproduction is so important. Mm-hmm. It is something that I am more than happy to let other people manage.
Yes.
So, but it's obviously a crucial part of the dairy and part of the whole dairy system. So we're going to spend the next couple episodes talking through some repro vocabulary in Spanish. One of those, the source that we're going to be using is actually from the University of Georgia. It's an extension publication from them called Speaking Spanish to Improve Dairy Cattle Reproduction. An excellent resource. We're going to put a link to this in the show notes. But it's got a bunch of common terms for repro. And you really were impressed with this article, weren't you?
Yeah, it was very well written. I think not only delves into what you need to know when you are talking about repro, but also the differences between Spanish and English that we have mentioned here briefly, why some concepts are difficult to grasp, and why sometimes the language varies so much in certain cases. So no, yeah, very well written.
Yes. It's got a couple tips for Spanish language at the top, and a couple just little tips for if you're trying to learn to speak Spanish. And I read this article and I was like, oh, that's what we're doing. So it talks about first steps are learning a little vocab, and learning a little vocabulary will help you practice a little bit more. He also talks in this article a little bit about some things, some quirks of Spanish. So one of them that he talks about is adjectives are placed before nouns. I think he means nouns are placed before adjectives, because he says, how now brown cow, how now brown cow is what brown is the adjective and cow is the noun. And so that's what we would say in English is how now brown cow. And in Spanish, you would say cow brown. So adjectives are placed after nouns in Spanish, right? Yes.
I don't know, but I think it's easier because you get the noun and then you add whatever you need to add.
That's actually such an interesting point. Yeah.
So because otherwise, in English, you start with all the adjectives, and you don't even know what you're talking about.
Where is this going? Yeah. Yes, you let somebody know right up front in Spanish what it is that you're talking about. In English, we make you we add a little suspense.
They keep you waiting.
What is it? What's it going to be?
Once you hear a lot of bad adjectives, then you wonder, I hope it's not me.
Yeah. Exactly. Yep. Oh man. So let's jump in. But I guess before I do, what are some you read this article and saw some of the common phrases that he pulls out. If you're thinking about repro, what are some what are some common things that you think we're talking to employees about with
Well,
reproduction management?
common things is usually, for example, in English you say shots, and in
Mhm.
Spanish you don't say shots because that is actually tiros, like from a
Yeah.
gun, right?
Mm.
Firearm. So those are shots, which in English also are shots. So you usually in English give shots. It's more like give injections. That's what
Yeah.
you would say in Spanish. So shots are inyecciones, right? So
Ah,
maybe something that it is always worth mentioning just in case if someone has that question. But shots are inyecciones because if you translate, it translates as tiros,
yes. Which means
even
you're
if you are
physically like
giving
shooting the cow.
like shooting
Yes.
the cow, even if you're giving repro shots, right?
Okay.
So just one of those things that just to make sure you know those shots mean inyecciones, right?
Okay.
So
Yes.
inyecciones could be vaccines or could be
Inyecciones.
hormones. The other one is, for example, in English we use the word breed. I'm gonna breed the cow. In Spanish, you don't say breed because I guess breed could be confused with the breed. Like
Mm.
this cow is Holstein, the other one is Jersey, right?
Hmm.
So, and also because of the accent, which I am, I guess some people have said that I have accent. So I don't know about that. For example, yes, breathe is better to, well, in Spanish, you would say inseminar, like inseminate. You don't
Mm.
say breathe, you say inseminate, technically. So another, I mean, obviously context helps a lot, but just to make sure people understand, even over text messages, that breeding a cow is inseminating the cow.
Yes.
Okay. So, and the other one, and this I saw this in here, for example, the word back, which is it's the back of the cow,
Hmm.
espalda. Most of the people would say lomo, because in animals you don't refer to the back as espalda. I guess you can,
Okay.
but technically it's not the common term or the more correct term. The correct term is lomo, like loin.
Oh, okay.
Mhm. So
Is
anyway,
that talking about the cow's back, like, or the back end of it? Do you see
oh,
like
this
a
was
cow,
talking
her spine, like her withershine loin rump? That's like the back of the cow.
exact.
But you also are at behind the cow. Would
So,
that
but this
be
was talking about the back of the cow as the spine all the way to the rump,
okay?
right? But like I said, most of you will hear even people saying mark the back of the cow, let's say in Spanish, marca el lomo.
Marca el lomo. Gotcha.
I mean, yeah,
Gotcha.
those are, I would say, some of the most common ones. There are others, some of them we have mentioned before, like pregnant. Yes, that's pretty straightforward. Preñada, right?
Yep.
So in heat, that's another one, but it's pretty understandable that it's en calor.
Hmm.
And I think, like I said, for the most part, regarding repro, those are the ones that I would say are important for them to know. Ah, no, riding is the other one that riding. Like when the cow is riding the other cow.
Hmm.
Sometimes people, well, I guess they have a hard time, like how to say that. Like the cow is on top of the other one. Oh yeah, we say riding or mountain, but most of the people would say riding.
Hmm.
So then the other one was standing. So those are terms that it's always useful to just make sure that they know how
Yep.
to say them in English, because for sure they know in Spanish, but sometimes they are in charge of heat detection and they are sending a text message and they will have a hard time using those terms.
Yes. So
So
writing,
riding, montando.
what would I use for writing?
In Spanish, you will say montando. It is not a
Mon
literal translation because riding, I would say it is because you ride a motorcycle. So tú montas una motocicleta.
Oh, okay. Montando.
So riding, montando.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
I am not somebody, and this is something I've said. This is not news to anybody. I'm not a reproductive physiology expert. However, when I'm talking about repro on herds, from my perspective, there are two things where if you're having problems with repro on a herd, there's two things that you should look at first. The first is, are you actually following your protocols? And the
Yes.
second one is, how are your cows transitioning? Right. And maybe
Mhm.
that's my bias because I am, did my PhD in transition cows. I am a nutritionist. Obviously, we care a lot about transition cows. So maybe that's my bias. But to me, if you're talking about repro, the two first things that I look at, that's not the only two things you can look at, but the first two things that I want to think about are you following the protocols and are your cows transitioning well? And so I think what we're
Uh,
going to be talking about a lot through this article is those protocols. Um, and those protocols can come from like actual like semen handling and semen tank management. They can
mhm,
be heat detection. They can
mhm,
be your synchronization protocols, and they can be like insemination techniques. Um, I DCRC, the Dairy Cattle Reproduction Council, they have their protocols written out very nicely on a PDF. I think those are actually also available in Spanish. Um,
okay.
but something they have at the bottom um, of those protocols is a little table, and that little table, they do have the dairy cow protocol sheet Spanish translation and the heifer protocol sheet Spanish translation as well. So those are available on the DCRC website. Just dcrcouncil.org/protocols. You'll find them there at the bottom. And then if you open those protocols, um, on the bottom they have a compliance table. And so they walk through. It's a really well done PDF. I use it in class all the time. They walk through reproductive management strategies, heat detection, detection of estrus followed by timed AI, pre-sync methods used before timed AI, synchronization methods for timed AI, pre-synchronization, synchronization calendars, resynchronization programs, et cetera, et cetera. I don't need to walk through all this. You guys can all read. And so I encourage you to go look those up. But this is just like a little treasure that's hidden at the bottom of this. And I use this in class all the time because it's not just applicable to synchronization programs, but everything that we use when we're talking about protocols, and that's compliance. So
Compliant.
basically, if you have the more steps you have in a protocol, the more you're hurt if you don't have good compliance, right? So they use the example, if 95 out of 100 cows receive their treatment on any given day, the herd has 95% compliance. So if you have 95% compliance, like you have 100 cows that need some sort of shot or injection, right?
Injection.
Injection, yep. if you have if you have 100 cows that need a shot that day and only 95% get that shot or get it at the right time or whatever it is, you have 95% compliance. If those 100 cows are on a 3 treatment program, you have 86% compliance because it's not just those 100 cows on that day. It's, those, there's going to be 3 different days where those cows are going to need shots.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have a 7 treatment program, you actually have 70% compliance. So the more steps you have in a protocol, the more important it is that, and the more protocols that you have, the more you rely on those protocols and those systems, the more important it is that you have high compliance. Because, and if you have, so the example is they have a herd with 90% compliance. If they're on a 7 treatment synchronization protocol, they actually only have 78% compliance, right? So that's half
Yeah.
of the cows are not getting shots when they need to get shots, right?
Mm-hmm.
Missing 10 cows in a day out of 100 might not seem like a big deal, but if you extrapolate that out over 7 shots, that is a big deal if you're not actually getting the compliance that you need to get. And I think that's true a lot, not just for repro, but for a lot of other things. So
Yes,
Um,
that's everything.
or not just, and I should even say too, not just for synchronization, but also
It is
what we're going to start with is semen tank management, right? Like,
exactly, exactly. I think that's a very good point. For example, which you have your protocol regarding repro, but like you said, the tank is almost half empty of nitrogen.
mhm,
So that's gonna have an impact. Another one is, for example, the water where you thaw the straws, where you thaw out the straws, is not changed consistently and it's actually dirty,
yep,
right? So, or whoever is breathing, they think that it doesn't matter if their hands are dirty and they actually touch everything with dirty hands and they dip
mhm,
their hands in the warmer, all that counts. And the other thing,
mhm,
maybe they are doing that part correctly, but that's why it's good to go and see and just to see compliance. And the other one is, for example, you have to breathe, I don't know, 15 cows, let's say
mhm,
10 cows in one pen, because that's common. But half or a lot of headlocks don't work.
mhm,
So and the cows are not locked up. Obviously, that takes from the time that you have to breed those cows, and that's eating your time. So you are putting pressure on the breeder to hurry up to finish on time. But the last cows may not be bred as well as the first ones, things like
mhm.
that, things of that sort. Like, do you have someone else that can help the breeder lock up the cows before he can breed? Or he needs to breed them on the pre-stall?
Mhm.
I mean, is that safe? It is. If it is not, I mean, each farm is different, but just to keep in mind those things.
Yes, yes. So much of protocol compliance, whether it's on a farm or in my office or at my house, right? If so much of protocol compliance comes down to how can I remove barriers from getting this job actually done. I saw this short video on Facebook and it said sometimes the difference between being organized and disorganized is a lid. And she used the examples of she had like a little jar for coins, and one of them had a lid on it, and one of them didn't. And she like threw the coins into the one with no lid, right? Like, and it's just a small example of like these little barriers that like get in the way of, I just don't want to do that right now, right? And the more you can remove those barriers and just streamline a process as much as possible at the get go, the more likely people are to actually follow the protocol. You need to make it as easy as possible for the protocol to be followed, which is something we've talked about on this series before. Is that it's not just about writing the best protocol; it's about making it as easy as possible for people to follow the protocol, whether that's in the writing of the protocol itself or in the task that they have to do. Do they have to jump through a bunch of gates? Is the seat, well, one of the examples he has on here, um, uh, uh, number 5 on tips for better semen tank management. He says, my tank is easy to get to so nitrogen can be replaced. Like just making sure that you have easy access to that tank. Make sure you have easy access to the materials that you need. Make sure that they're easy to grab. They're set up in the order that they need to be set up in. Um, all of the like having a little bit of extra forethought at the front about how we can make things as easy as possible pays off in that protocol compliance. So,
Exactly. Exactly.
so
Now, since you mentioned that quickly, for example, before enforcing a protocol, you need
mhm,
to make sure you have your bases covered.
yep,
Like, let's say if someone tells you you need to visit 5 farms in Wisconsin each month, and you say, okay, I'm gonna have a car or a car, and write a report on top of that. Okay, but you don't have a vehicle and you don't have ink
yeah,
for your
yep.
printer.
Do you have the
Eventually,
tools? Yeah,
okay, I will pay this time, but eventually it will become a problem because you are like, okay, I need to drive to these farms. I haven't been reimbursed, and I have to keep buying toner. So I don't want to keep doing that. So
yeah,
eventually you will either travel to less farms or, just not write the report. And what are you going to
yep,
say? I don't think right now.
yep.
But you cannot come up with the money for the ink every single time, for example.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Making sure people have the tools, making sure that they know where their tools are. That's another thing I see in my day-to-day life. Like I'll ask, somebody about, oh, it would be nice if we had this. It would be nice if we had this information. Oh, we have that information. It's just buried away in this cloud file somewhere that we don't nobody ever knows about, right? So making sure not just you have those tools available, make sure they're easy access and make sure people know that they're
Easy
there.
access.
Yep.
Exactly.
And sometimes we were talking a little bit before we started recording. Common sense for one person is not always common sense for the other person. And so a good habit when it comes to communicating in general is just don't be afraid to over explain things.
Yes, don't be afraid. It's better.
Yes.
Saves a lot of headaches later.
Don't think that people will just assume the same things you do and come to the same conclusion. Yeah. Yep. All right. Do you want to talk a little bit about tips for better semen tank management? There's 15 phrases in this article for better semen tank management. We don't have to walk through every single one of them because our listeners will be able to listen to those or read those themselves if they want to. But the 15 things that he listed that he thinks are important for semen tank management in English are: I keep my tank in an area where it can be easily observed. I check the tank daily for external frost buildup, indicating a loss of vacuum. I keep my tank on a wooden platform instead of on concrete. I keep my semen tank cleaning acids, manure. I keep my semen tank cleaning acids, manure, fertilizer, and pesticides. I assume that means separate from cleaning acids, manure, fertilizer, and pesticides. My tank is easy to get to, so the nitrogen can be replaced. I rarely transport my semen tank. If I take the tank anywhere, I fasten it securely in the truck. I keep my tank out of direct sunlight. I keep children and animals away from the semen tank. I keep the semen protected from vandals and thieves. I keep my tank in an area where lighting is available so I can easily see into the neck for straw removal and inventory. A lot of these are just basically like, okay, make it easy, right? I measure the liquid. Yep. I measure the liquid nitrogen monthly and replenish when levels fall to 3 inches. 1 inch is a red flag. I always keep the same bowl on one cane and inventory of semen locations so I can easily find the semen I want without raising a straw over the 5-inch mark. Again, making it easy. I keep accurate records of the bowls I have and where they are in the tank, making it easy. I keep my tank in an area where it can be easily observed. So all good practices for semen tank management. Of course, the most common word I'm seeing in there is tanque, right?
Tanque.
Tank. El tanque is the tank. Luckily for us, it looks like semen is the same in English and Spanish.
Yeah, that one is the same. Yes. A lot of the anatomy is the same because it's mostly Greek etymology.
Right.
So cervix, right?
Yep.
Uterus.
Yep. So the common phrase that we're seeing in there is tanque de semen.
Tanque, same. Yeah.
Yep. And we've learned tanque before. So it's the same word that we're seeing here. Nitrogen.
Nitrógeno.
Nitrógeno. So it's spelled similar to the word, but it does not sound the same when you say it out loud.
It doesn't sound the same.
Yep. We have an accent there on the first O.
Nitrógeno. Yeah.
Nitrógeno. And then liquid nitrogen, líquido.
Líquido.
And like we said, in English, we put the adjective before the noun. So we make you wait in suspense to find out liquid what.
Liquid what?
Yeah.
Liquid nitrogen. Okay.
Yeah. And in Spanish, they don't make you wait. They let you know right away. We're talking about nitrógeno, nitrogen, nitrógeno líquido, liquid nitrogen. And so el tanque de semen would also be, we also would call it a nitrogen tank sometimes. And so perhaps you might hear tanque de nitrógeno. Is that something you might hear as well?
Tanque de nitrógeno.
Tanque de
Yeah.
nitrógeno. Yep.
A lot of words that are very common, like lubricant, lubricante,
Mm-hmm.
mineral oil, aceite mineral,
Mm-hmm.
glove, guante. Sometimes people get confused. They think glove is balloon, because balloon in Spanish you say globo. So
Oh,
glove and glove are similar, but
okay.
no, glove is guante in Espanol. And a lot of people understand that, because now, there are gloves everywhere at a farm. So yeah, they remember that.
Perfect. What other words do we see in here that might be worth pointing out?
Well, just even if the word is here,
Mm-hmm.
the anatomy, and in this article, if you read the article, when they read the article, they can see it is always good to have not only the theory but the practice. For example, cervix. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of people would say, what is the cervix, right? But if they have a picture or a video, or someone is showing them where the cervix is, they will have a better idea. Okay, when
Yes. Yes.
the cervix has rings and all that. Yeah, AI technicians, of course, that are very well versed in all this. But for newer employees, or someone that you said, I would like this guy to breed cows for me, those are things that they need to know, because obviously that's not something that they went to school for, or they don't have
Yes.
that too in their mind, the anatomy of the reproductive
Yep.
tract.
Yes. I think visuals
And
are great.
that goes with the common sense that we talked earlier. For us, those things are, yeah, I mean, there is no difficulty. You know it, but not
Mm-hmm.
everybody knows that, right? So it's always good to show, to explain,
Yes.
and like you said, another explanation, or repeat it, or if you repeat the same thing, it's fine, because you don't remember everything you get told the first time. You will
Yes.
forget like 90%, looks like.
Yes. I will never forget. I had this was a long time ago, and I had a student once, and this was a student who grew up on a farm. Not an animal farm, but they had to take introduction to animal science, which I was teaching. Um, and I had a boluser, like for calves, like to
Oh, the
give
bolus
calves a
gum
yep.
applicator.
And I didn't even say like name this item. The question
Oh.
was it was sitting on the table, and they said they were supposed to answer the question, what was this item used for? And the person put for insemination in the throat.
Ah, okay. Well,
And I was like, that is wrong in every
in
way.
many levels.
First of all, this is not used for insemination. Second of all, if you're inseminating in the throat, you're not going to get anything pregnant, right? Like,
Exactly.
I know, yeah. And this was not a kid who had never,
Uh-huh.
seen an animal before, right? Like,
Yes. And those
so,
are the real life
yep,
examples. I mean, those things happen.
yep, yep.
Those things happen.
So never, it's much better, I think, to over explain and then to find out later that you wish you'd explained better. But
Yes, exactly. No,
yes,
that's for sure. For sure.
yes. I
Uh,
also the other thing that I'd like to point out after reading this list, and we'll come back and talk more about the vocabulary in the rest of the article on the next episode. But as we kind of wrap up this episode, one of the things I want to point out is it's a whiteboard is such a great tool.
oh,
Like
yes.
I think the
Oh, yeah.
whiteboard is the unsung tool of so many things, like on farms. Again, I got one in my office. I just got one on Black Friday for my home office. Like I would be so lost without a whiteboard. And whether that's calves, whether that's the milking parlor, whether that's your semen tank, a whiteboard. Just whiteboards are the unsung heroes of dairy farms.
Exactly.
Um,
The
And
benefit you
so,
get from then is huge. Even for
yes,
example, especially for new people, I always like to have a board, a whiteboard with a
yep,
map of the farm. So
yep,
you know where the buildings are, right? And
yes,
another one, because if they tell you go bed, I don't know, G barn, where is
hmm,
G barn,
yeah,
right? And obviously that, and I think you saw that even at some farms, it's better to label the buildings if you can,
yep,
right?
yep,
So for easy ID, because if you
yes,
have someone coming to the farm that you tell them, oh yeah, yeah, go to this barn, it's behind this machine shed, and you have like 3 or 4 buildings around that area, so it could be confusing.
yep,
So if you
yep,
have someone doing a chore, that they could get lost if they don't know where
yes,
the things are. And that's, with a board, using a
yes,
whiteboard, it helps a lot.
yes.
Yeah.
I think, especially if we're talking about semen tank management, it's a great way to keep inventory of what bulls you have and where they are. So you can see like what your current inventory is, what you're getting low on, what you have a lot of. It's also really, and then you're not digging around. If you put like where they are somehow, you're indicating that on the board, then you're not having to dig around as much, right? And
You know
it
where they
could
are.
go like, oh, I thought I had some of this bull still left over. Um, and you're just digging around trying to find that bull that's still left over. Maybe he's not even there anymore, right? So keeping that board updated with inventory and where they are.
I was gonna
Um,
say with the inventory, that way you know that you need gloves. So
mhm,
you take a picture and you write it down gloves. So
yep,
get it out of of your mind when you come back. Oh yeah, I need gloves and lube. You
yep,
know what it
yep,
is. If you don't have it, then you need to order. And a checklist. I like to have checklists in there. Like
yes,
you check the nitrogen, right?
yep,
Did you clean the warmer, or
yep,
did you clean the guns? I would
yep,
say the applicators. I mean,
yep,
those need to be washed too. So that way you know, yes, I washed them on Wednesday. Look, it's in here on my checklist.
yes,
So,
yes.
mhm.
All right. Well, we will come back to this topic on our next episode. But before we let all of our listeners go, one of the things that I have to do as somebody who works for Extension is because I am paid by your taxpayer dollars. My administration likes to know that we are having an impact, right? We don't want to just take taxpayer dollars and pay me and I'm not doing anything, right? So part of that with Extension is they really enjoy us documenting impact. I don't know if they enjoy it. It's an important part of my job, though,
They
to make sure that we are properly spending your money. So if you're listening to this, and I know you people hate surveys, and I know we put out too many surveys, but that's why we put out too many surveys. If you are so inclined, you could really help us out by filling out a survey. I tried to keep it pretty short, and if you just fill out a couple questions and get tired of it and want to close it out, that's fine too. But if you have a couple of minutes, we'd love it if you went to go.iastate.edu/Spanish Fry. So Spanish Fry, FRI, short for Spanish Friday. We also have the link down in the show notes if that's easier for you. Feel free to go fill out that. Hopefully it won't take a ton of your time. If out of the goodness of your heart, it would be the best Christmas present you could give me if you filled out that if you filled out that survey. Well, we want to thank you for listening. If you want to learn more about what we do, you can check out our website. So you can find out the work that the Iowa State Extension Dairy Team is doing at extension.iastate.edu/dairy team. And you can find out more about Miguel's work at optimumdairy.com.
I was gonna add before we finish up that yes, not only, for example, we enjoy doing this, not just because we know this is important information or we believe in this information, but we also have fun doing it. Like
Yes,
that's the kind of environment that we wish we had in every farm. I know that's impossible, right? But this is something that you don't need to force me or force Gail to do. We
yes,
like it. We like people. We know this is stuff that should be out there. And sometimes, you guys are busy, but this is a good way to kind of get some good ideas flowing. We are not going to solve the problems of the world, but this is a good start.
yes, yes. Amen.
Yeah.
That's a great note to end on. Thanks everybody for listening. Nos
Thank
vemos
you.
la siguiente semana. See you
Nos
next week.
vemos. Bye-bye.
This institution is an equal opportunity provider. For the full non-discrimination statement or combination inquiries, go to www.extension.iastate.edu/diversity/ext.